Hi, it's Mark Graben. Welcome to Lean Blog Audio. This is a post that I published on November 9th, 2024. It's titled, Lost My iPhone in Tokyo, a lesson in Japanese kindness and culture on my Japan study trip. If you'd like to read the blog post or comment or share it with others, look for a link in the show notes. So I'm thrilled to be back in Japan for the first time in 5 years. Today is the start of Katie Anderson's Japan study trip, and you can learn more about joining her in May 2025 when she's going back again. It's great to be here for another week of learning and great experiences. Now, little did I know I'd kick off the trip by nearly losing my iPhone on the streets of Tokyo, a mistake that ended up teaching me a valuable lesson about Japan's culture of trust. Now, I was able to arrive last Monday to enjoy 6 days of vacation mode time with some buddies who came in from Texas. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with one friend who was making his first visit and another who hadn't been here in 30 years and speaks quite a bit of Japanese. Now, Japan's pretty easy to navigate if you just speak English like me, but having a friend who speaks the language can really help. Getting here early also helped with the time zone and jet lag adjustment, so I won't be tired during company visits this upcoming week. Now, last Friday night, my friends and I had a chance to meet up with Katie Anderson after she had arrived for her final prep and adjustment days. As my friends and I arrived in our taxi, there was some discussion about who was going to pay and how. One thing that's changed over 5 years is the increased acceptance of credit card and mobile phone payments in what used to be a very cash-driven economy. I was sitting up front in the taxi and I had my phone in hand, thinking I might pay electronically. But in some taxis, it's easy to pay via a special taxi app when you're sitting in the back seat, looking at the seat back screen that they have back there. So I decided to get cash out of my wallet. Here's my mistake. I set my iPhone on the front dash and grabbed my wallet. I paid using that cash. It was 2,000 yen. We all exited the taxi and greeted Katie, who was standing there. And as we started to walk toward a nearby izakaya to eat, it hit me. I didn't have my phone. It wasn't in any of my pockets. So I started to panic. I thought, crap, I'm going to have to get a new phone here in Tokyo. That might be a real pain. I was thinking, how stupid of me. Now, Katie tried to calm me down by reminding me, it's Japan. You'll get your phone back. It might take a while, but the driver knows your hotel since he picked you up and he knows where he dropped you off. Now, I knew she was right. The panic still kicked in a little bit. Stories about lost items being safely returned in Japan are commonplace and legendary. I've heard stories about wallets and laptops being left behind in cafes and being found later, hours later, right where they were left or they were being held by staff. But in my panic, I was forgetting all of that. The only time I lost an iPhone was the time it slipped out of my dress pants pocket as I exited a taxi at the New Orleans airport. I asked an employee at the curb to call my phone almost immediately, but it was already turned off and the call was going straight to voicemail. I knew that phone wasn't coming back. But things are generally different in Japan. So I asked my friends to call my phone. It was in vibrate mode, which can sometimes be loud, and the screen would light up. It was dark outside. After a number of calls, the driver answered. My friend spoke to the driver in Japanese and said he would be headed right back. Now, after these 15 minutes had passed, he was not right nearby, but we knew we could trust him. In another helpful twist, Katie and I had previously shared our locations with each other via WhatsApp. So we were able to see the driver's progress. Again, not because we didn't trust him, but so I could go outside to greet the driver as he pulled up and not make him wait since I was inconveniencing him enough as it was. So the driver pulled up and jogged over to me with a smile from across the street. He handed me the phone with 2 outstretched arms. I smiled and bowed repeatedly and deeply. Although I know how to say thank you in Japanese, I excitedly said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I'm so sorry. He seemed unbothered by the whole thing. He smiled and bowed repeatedly as well. So this experience reminded me of how kindness and trust are so often woven into the fabric of Japanese society. It was a welcome and reassuring start to what promises to be a week of meaningful learning, and it was. I'm thankful for these aspects of Japanese culture. Of course, my friends asked almost constantly for the next 2 days, do you have your phone, Mark? I earned that. Now, I did implement one countermeasure. Keep my phone in my pocket during a taxi trip unless I'm actively using it to pay. Or if I'm going to pull out my wallet, put my phone in my pocket first. Japan never fails to inspire, and there's always something new to learn. If you're interested in a deeper dive in the Japanese culture and lean practices, consider joining Katie Anderson's upcoming lean study trip in May 2025. There's truly nothing like experiencing these lessons firsthand, but please learn from my mistake. And I managed to not repeat that mistake in the additional week that I had there in Japan. And in the blog post, you look for a link in the show notes. I've linked to a blog post that Katie wrote about this concept of service and respect via her website, kbjanderson.com. As always, thank you for listening. This has been Mark Graban with Lean Blog Audio.